What's happening in the Middle East seems to now be affecting whether or not we'll be having the summit between the two presidents. What do we know about that?
Well, on the poly market, the bets are less than 50% that Trump is going to arrive by end of March. But yes, there has been a lot of speculation when the Iran war first broke out whether that summit will be derailed. And this is the first time we're hearing from President Trump that he might delay the summit. And the precondition here is that China contributes to keeping the Strait of Hormuz open and send warships to that area. But if you just read the state-linked media reports so far, China views the root cause of the conflict as the U.S. and Israel attacks on Iran. And they view this move by President Trump essentially as dragging other countries in a war that it started. And so far, China's stance on Iran has been no more than rhetorical support, right? And it's very unlikely, at least in the past, China has been quite unwilling to put boots on the ground and put military backing in a conflict that is far away from home. So it's not clear how willing they are to really accede to President Trump's request. But, 2 weeks is a long time, and maybe there could be some sort of face-saving gesture in the lead-up to the summit, and potentially it could still happen. It's really hard to say at this point.
Do you see China playing any role in this whole Iran situation?
Well, I think the one thing that you have to keep in mind when it comes to China, too, is that, what kind of leverage do they have in any kind of negotiations here, right? I mean, you can make the argument that after, Trump's tariff regime was essentially struck down by the Supreme Court of the United States, that he's now pursuing some other options to kind of get tariffs in place, that China, which did kind of emerge as like a pretty significant victor in everything last year when all that chaos was flying around, might have, a bit more leverage when it comes to actually getting, Trump to, to the table to talk about what they want to. So I do think that that's part of this. But I think, as Minmin said, there's a lot here that China might not necessarily want to get involved with, or that isn't necessarily in their best interest. So you do have these pretty strong comments from Trump. But, how powerful of leverage is it actually for Trump to say, maybe I just won't go to Beijing? So I think that that's a pretty significant question here.
Assuming the summit is still taking place, we had talks in Paris, high-level talks. What did we get out of that?
Yeah, so the first day is over. There was on Sunday 6 hours of talks, but neither side spoke to the media on the way in and out of the venue. Today, they're going to continue the talks again. But so far, Reuters has reported, based on sources, that the talks were candid and constructive, and it seems like China is showing some signs of goodwill, saying that they are open to buying more agricultural products beyond soybeans, including things like poultry, beef, non-soybean, row crops, for example, and they're still pledging to fulfill their commitment on that 25 million tons of soybeans per year over the next 3 years. We understand from the Reuters report that the U.S. is also pressing China to buy more U.S. oil and natural gas as well. So the U.S. clearly also emerging a winner in this Iran conflict, given they are the largest exporter of LNG globally. There's also the Boeing deal on the table. And according to Reuters, both sides are looking at coming up with technical talks, a so-called Board of Investments and Board of Trade. And these two mechanisms will be talks that allow them to identify sectors and products where they can increase trade to balance that trade relationship. The Board of Investment would deal with discretionary investment issues. And we know that China so far has been very keen to put money in the U.S., but they have faced a lot of scrutiny from CFIUS. They have faced a lot of restrictions. So we'll see if this actually opens up space for both sides to mutually invest in each other's countries.